Metro Talk. I'm Kent Scheffel. Thanks for being with us. Jim Schrader, the publisher of the Telegraph, is here. Welcome, Jim.
Hi, Kent.
And Pat Gowan, one of the editors with the Post-Dispatch, is alongside. Welcome, Pat.
Hi, Kent.
Pat, Governor Quinn wants to appeal the concealed carry ruling to the Supreme Court. Do we need that appeal to take place?
Well, of course, we know it's not his decision either. It's up to Attorney General Lisa Madigan as to whether to appeal it. It's a political decision, and there's no way not to weigh this politically. She's from Chicago, where a lot of people don't want a proliferation of guns, handguns or other kind of guns. They've got enough violence trouble as it is. So based on where she's from, you might expect that she would go ahead and appeal the appellate court decision that said that essentially Illinois law against concealed carry was unconstitutional. So maybe on the basis that she'll appeal. But she's also looking at running for governor. It's a not well-kept secret. She may take on Pat Quinn in the primary next year, and if she beats him, run as a Democratic nominee for governor. Now, if she does not appeal this ruling, then it seems like that might count against her a little bit in the primary in the Chicago area, where Quinn may come across as more anti-gun than Lisa Madigan, and that might hurt her a little bit in the primary. But when you get to the general election, I would say the vast majority of the land area of Illinois does not understand the problem with concealed carry, does not have a problem in general with firearms, doesn't see why Chicago, which already has some of the strictest firearm laws in the country and still can't control its crime problem, why its problem should be a problem for people all over the state. And from a political point of view, if she doesn't pay attention to that, it could really hurt her. In 2010, when Pat Quinn won a victory for governor by about 0.8%, about 32,000 votes cast out of 3.7 million. He lost every county in Illinois but 4. One was Cook, where he won better than 2-1, Chicago effectively in the suburbs. The other 3 he won only included St. Clair, Jackson, Alexander, and those were all close. All Bill Brady, the Republican nominee, needed was to pick up 327 votes on the average in each of the counties that the Democrats, in each of the counties that the Republicans already won, and he would have been governor. It was that close. So Madigan's got to understand the calculus for that, and if she appeals this, she's going to irritate a lot of people outstate. So those are the political ramifications of it. There's a little more to it than that. If she appeals, the Supreme Court does not have to take the case, probably won't, in fact, doesn't take most of the appeals that reaches it. If it does take the case, that could be fraught with peril for the people who are in favor of gun control, because the Supreme Court's sort of steadily leaned more toward gun rights, as the Court of Appeals in Chicago did with the decision about Illinois. If the Supreme Court were to take a stronger gun stand, it could in fact impact those states which still have a lot of restrictions on guns. Just because you're a concealed carry state doesn't mean things are wide open. Some states are may issue states where you, even if you qualify for a permit under the law, the local sheriff still gets to decide whether you get one. And some may issue states issue very few, if any, permits at all. So she could open Pandora's box, and it could backfire on the gun control movement as well. So with all of those things put into the stew as a political decision, I'm not quite sure what she's likely to do, but she doesn't have a lot of time to do it because the drumbeat is that by, I think it's June 9th, people can carry guns in Illinois. If the General Assembly comes up with restrictions, then they'll have to follow the restrictions. If the General Assembly can't come up with the restrictions by then, there simply won't be any, and you'll be able to carry a gun in Illinois.
Jim, Governor Quinn wants an appeal of the concealed carry ruling. Should that appeal take place?
It should not. I think Pat spelled it out pretty well. It's absolutely a political stance for Quinn, and I think he's blowing the wrong way on this breeze. I think Quinn seems to want to be pandering to those Cook County Democrats that basically elected him 2-1, as Pat pointed out. And primarily, those Democrats in Cook County have said that they don't want guns. The most restrictive gun laws, certainly in the state of Illinois, and some of the most restrictive in the United States are in Cook County, Illinois, and certainly the city of Chicago. Basically, it's very difficult to own a gun in those areas. You can't purchase one to speak of. He seems to pander to those. Lisa Madigan, who it appears is set up to run against Quinn, at least in the primary, has stated that she would wait and see what type of law the General Assembly can draft by the June 9th date, and then potentially have to take that one up before an appellate court if the court were to deem that it's too restrictive. But at this point in time, I think Lisa Madigan also knows that the Supreme Court's probably not going to take this case, as Pat pointed out. And by her saying, I'm not going to appeal this decision, the court has ruled in the state of Illinois that the General Assembly needs to go about constructing a law where law-abiding citizens can own and carry a gun. We'll give her that appeal, and the rest of those states, save the three that Pat already pointed out that helped get Quinn elected in 2010. It's a political statement on Quinn's part. It's absolutely pandering to the Chicago Democrats, and I think it's absolutely costing him favor with everybody south of I-80.
I think in a general election, if she'd beat Quinn in the primary and run a general election having appealed it, whether the Supreme Court takes the appeal or not, she would be labeled the person who tried to take it away. I think while there's resentment by the pro-gun people against Quinn for not being their friend, for trying to keep them from getting more gun-carrying rights, there's far more resentment involved if I take something away that you had than if I failed to give it to you in the first place. And she would be the one who took it away or tried to take it away, and politically, that's a tougher place for her to be than Quinn.
We need to take a break. We have more Metro Talk coming up right after this.
I decided to come to Lewis and Clark because it was close to home, inexpensive. I wanted to become a computer graphic designer, also become an animator as well. Hopefully with this degree, I could break into the video game industry or the film industry. Affordable, close to home, cutting edge technology. Lewis and Clark.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Well, teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
This can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Of course it's not happening. Armored car. Listen, having money isn't about luck. Make your own coffee, save $1,000 a year. Feed me.
Feed the pig.
You're watching Metro Talk. I'm Kent Shuffle. Pat Gowan and Jim Schrader here. Jim, Governor Quinn's proposed state budget eliminates funding for the SIUE pharmacy school, as well as a couple of other pharmacy schools around the state. Is this a real budget issue, or is this tied to the debate over the Board of Trustees positions at SIU?
Well, my guess is it's a little bit of both, but certainly the School of Pharmacy is not the only school that is being impacted by Quinn's proposed budget acts. I read the U of I is, in this latest proposal, is going to get hit to the tune of about $623 million, and other colleges as well. I did not read about the impact of Lewis and Clark Community College, so hopefully we'll still be on the air next week, but we'll find out. But the timing is what makes it look like it might be somewhat political. Governor Quinn put pressure on the board to appoint his friend and former podiatrist to head up the SIU board. 3 local members fought that and were pretty successful at it. Ed Hightower, who's the superintendent of Edwardsville Schools, John Simmons, attorney here in Alton, and Mark Henricks, who at the time was chair of the board. They didn't play Governor Quinn's game, so he basically chose not to reappoint them, even while the process was going on. The news reports say that other members of the board were being urged to stay away and only vote governor's way. I don't know that it's really political that these cuts are being proposed shortly after Quinn didn't reappoint these 3 members to the SIU board, that Senator Bill Hayne has proposed a new law to come out of Springfield that would differently apportion the different members of the SIU board. But because they came so close together, it looks political. It looks like, according to Quinn's budget, not only will the public schools in the state be impacted under this proposed budget, but all of the state colleges would be impacted as well.
Pat, Governor Quinn wants to eliminate funding for the SIU Pharmacy School as well as a couple of other pharmacy schools around the state. Is that budget business as usual, or is that tied to the whole Board of Trustees situation with SIU?
Well, my guess is the budget was probably put together before he found out that he wasn't going to get by with, that the Senate would not ratify the appointments that he made to replace the people he removed from the SIU board. This affects the pharmacy school to Chicago State University, also the University of Illinois at Rockford. They've all lost some of the funding for pharmacy schools. For SIUE, which runs a pharmacy school, it's about $1.2 million. The school says it's going to find ways to supplement the money, that it's not going to imperil the ability to train pharmacists. The state, as I understand, says that this money does not come from taxpayer funds anyway. It comes from fees paid, licensing fees paid by pharmacists and others. And that the Department of Professional Regulation has said that there is not enough revenue flow from pharmacists to continue to support the subsidy to pharmacy schools, and that they fail to see why it would make sense, for example, for cosmetologists and others who are licensed by the state to be kicking in part of their license fees to support pharmacy, which is a whole other thing. And that was the reason why the money was cut back. Politics obviously pervades everything that happens in Springfield, so where the truth lies in all this, I don't know. But I kind of doubt that this is political quid pro quo, although in the Machiavellian ways of Illinois state government, I don't know how we'd ever be sure it's not.
Jim, a professor at the University of Illinois, is questioning some of the numbers that Governor Quinn is using in his budget talks. Economist Fred Garrett says Quinn's figures related to job creation and economic impact of state programs are inflated. Is there a problem with the numbers?
I can't understand how any professor would imply that any politician would bend numbers to help them make themselves look good. I find that very hard to figure. The old adage, figures lie and liars figure. We have a tendency to construct statistics or bend interpretation of statistics the way we want to suit the purposes that we have at that time. A lot of people question, especially unemployment statistics and the opposite here, employment statistics, anytime those numbers come out from a financial standpoint. We've all heard for years that obviously unemployment is understated in the state of Illinois and nationally, because those who have exhausted their unemployment compensation benefits are no longer counted in that number. So if those people have exhausted their weekly stipend, they're still unemployed, i.e. they can't find a job, but they aren't counted any longer in the labor statistics. Some people have said that that's why the unemployment number is actually going down currently in the United States, because many of those people that were counted in earlier numbers during extensions of unemployment charts have fallen off the rolls now. The governor is trying to show that his programs have had a positive economic impact in the state of Illinois. We've already pointed out that in 2014 he's going to run again, so he's going to paint as much good on his policies as he possibly can. The numbers can be interpreted however you want to, depending on how big a sample you want to take, where you sample it, how you sample it. And for the professor to point that out, it probably did not curry favor with any politician, but it's a certain amount of politics. You can interpret numbers however you want to. For example, if the enrollment in Lewis and Clark Community College was 10, and the next year it went to 20, you wouldn't say your enrollment went up by 10. You would say your enrollment went up by 100%. Similar here, there is some politicking going on there, but it's not Quinn's idea. He's not new at it. Every politician does it.
Pat, professor at the University of Illinois, is questioning some of Governor Quinn's numbers related to the budget, related to employment. Bottom line is there a problem with the governor's numbers?
Well, I'm sure there is. Professor Gertz isn't exactly pointing and screaming, liar, liar, pants on fire. In fact, his real quote is, it's sort of business as usual for politicians. He wasn't particularly singling Quinn out, although he did allude to things Quinn had said as part of being sort of endemic to what politicians exaggerate. Part of the case in point was whether a jobs program that Quinn was touting was really going to add 10% to the employment of the entire state of Illinois, which seemed silly, seemed ridiculous, and I guess on its face probably really is. But I don't know anybody pays that much attention to the numbers specifically so much as the spirit behind them. As Gertz said, the project Quinn was touting is a worthwhile project. It just may not be as worthwhile as the governor says.
We need to take another quick break. We have more coming up.
I chose Lewis and Clark Community College because my dentist and my dental hygienist both highly recommended this school for the dental assisting program and dental hygiene program. And I feel completely prepared after going to just a couple semesters here. I feel like I know what I'm doing now. These great teachers, I feel like I can have one-on-one chances with them. So I feel completely prepared thanks to this college. Highly recommended, fantastic atmosphere, and great teachers. Lewis and Clark.
Oh, sweetheart. Gonna give you a hand?
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist. We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
This is Metro Talk. Pat Gowan and Jim Schrader here. I'm Kent Shuffle. Pat, the Illinois Republican Central Committee has backed off the possibility of firing party chairman Pat Brady. Brady was coming under fire for his support of gay marriages. The party backed away. Was it a smart move on the party's side to get away from firing Brady?
I don't think it was a smart move on the party side to ever let this get far enough down the trash for us to know about it. It is a problem the Republican Party in Illinois and elsewhere has had for a long time, is the disproportionate sway the conservative arm of the party has had in selecting leadership, and generally ending up with candidates who are so toward the extreme that they're not electable. So we end up with sort of right-wingish candidates who can't really get close enough to the center to get themselves elected. And I see coming from that same part of the party this criticism about Mr. Brady's support of gay marriage. It's not that unusual for Republicans to support gay marriage. A fair number of them do, but they don't happen to reside in the part of the party that was aghast that he would actually say such a thing. So off with his head for disagreeing with us. At the same time that at least Republican moderates, and I think a fair number on the conservative end of it too, are saying if we're going to survive as a party, and I have my doubts sometimes the way the Republican Party operates, whether it's going to survive in the present form, but if it's to survive, it's got to have a bigger tent. It's got to embrace more people. The world is changing, and it's changed a lot in terms of these kinds of social issues. And if he lost his job for speaking out for something that maybe didn't suit part of the party, what suits everybody in any political party, if he lost his job over that, I think it would have been very damaging to the party. I think that there was even a serious consideration to dump him is very damaging. I think they called off the meeting at which they were going to do it, the day before, I believe, and the reason ostensibly was they realized they didn't have enough votes to do it, which meant that the faction that wanted to get rid of him for daring to talk in broader terms, that they were still intent on removing him, and that unwillingness to compromise, to accept the views of others, I think is a very damaging thing for the party. I think it's a bad thing for them to put on display. I'm glad it stopped short of this. I think America works best when the parties are robust and everything, but what's that they used to say about the Democrats? I'm not a member of an organized political party, I'm a Democrat. As awful as that sounds, perhaps the Republicans could take a cue from it.
Jim, was it a wise move on the Republicans' party to keep Pat Brady as chairman of the party? He was coming under fire for his views on gay marriage.
Whether or not they want him as chairman of the party or not is here nor there. But their reason for getting rid of him because of his support of gay marriage was not the way to play it, certainly at this point in time. I heard this morning on the national news that the National Republican Committee is saying, we really blew it in the last election. We really lost our way with minority groups, with young people, with gays and lesbians, and they're naming off all of these things, and they're going to spend millions of dollars in the next 3 years to ensure that the Republican Party can once again embrace some of these areas that might have won them the presidential seat this past election, and certainly could have gotten them more seats in Congress. Then you look at what's going on in the state of Illinois, which of course is a bright blue state. You think there's a disconnect here. The Republicans can't survive if they're going to be the party of old white men that want everything to be just about their set of rules and their set of standards. Pat Brady was running afoul of that. It looks like he will survive. But if we're going to have two robust political parties, and your voter base, let's face it, old white men are dying off. If you're not filling those coffers back up of voters that can identify with the GOP, then we really truly will not have a two-party function in the United States.
Pat, a couple of Illinois lawmakers want local governments to be more open about their debt. Are local governments transparent enough now when it comes to their debt?
There are some local officials who are literally laughing out loud about this. The state of Illinois, which has gotten itself into a almost $100 billion hole over the last 20 years, and now some leadership, House Republican leader Tom Cross and another Republican legislator want to force school boards and city councils and the like to be more transparent, to put their finances on a state website and things like this. And a number of the local officials are saying, well, we'll put our bond rating against the state of Illinois bond rating any day of the week. A lot of this is already pretty transparent. It's pretty easy to go to the city hall and look at things, and a lot of this stuff's already online, as a matter of fact, in various places. So what Cross is up to with this, I really don't know. I think that the problem that I see, there's been no great clamor for greater transparency on the local level that I'm aware of, though I favor transparency anywhere you can get it. But who was sounding the alarm going back into the early and mid 1990s when the state of Illinois started to underfund pensions that ended up growing into this enormously hungry Pac-Man that's eating every cent the state can possibly throw at it? Where was the transparency then? It doesn't mean it's a bad idea now, but it is sort of laughable. And there's a lesson to be learned, I think, about letting the people know, because I don't think most people had any idea that was going on, that the state was deferring the payment of the pensions to such an extent that a train wreck was building all those years ago. So I think the state needs to make sure it's plenty transparent before it starts forcing that on other levels of government.
I like the idea of the transparency. Again, I don't know what Cross has up his sleeve with this. Most local municipalities have to print, their budgets in newspapers at the end of the year, their fiscal year-end statement. Most school districts, if you're talking about them being more transparent, most of the problems that they have with money can be traced right back to Springfield and money they are not receiving from Springfield. I frankly would love to see a line item spreadsheet of every dollar that comes into Springfield and every dollar that goes out, because you want to be truly transparent. Let's see where the money goes. We can't make cuts. We can't balance the budget in Springfield. Then show me where every nickel goes. And if we're doing, some type of crazy investigation, or if we're building some type of a fancy statue, or if we're doing research into rat pellets on Diet Coke cans, maybe we need to look at some of those things and try to balance the budgets in the state of Illinois. I'm open for the transparency. I think in most cases we've already got it.
That's going to do it for this round of Metro Talk. Thanks for being with us. I'm Kent Scheffel. Pat Gowan from the Post-Dispatch has been here, along with Jim Schrader from the Telegraph. We'll see you next time.